Hello? Hello? This is the wedding lady Sandra Losty, and I am in Kay's Flower School. And I made this, and I made this, with the wonderful help of the wonderful Jeanette of Kay's Flower School.
Actually, she was a great student.
Great student
you are.
Apparently I have a little thing for knack for craft and things like that.
Very creative, yeah.
Very creative.
Okay. Great with your fingers. Great pair of hands on you.
A small hands for little canickety thing. There's Karen popping in there. Hiya, Karen. So I popped over today because I was invited by the ladies here to come along and see how to make these beautiful flower crowns and these beautiful flower wands, because these wonderful people do lots of wonderful things, and Jeanette is going to tell us a little bit about what you actually do here. So while it's not specifically for brides themselves,
no.
Tell us what you do.
So Kay's Flower School is really for training florists. That would be our speciality. So we train florists who want to work in a flower shop, work from home on a commercial basis, maybe thinking of long-term opening up their own business. We would have some florists who come from flower shops, like there was a lady here today from a flower shop up the north, and they would come here for training, you know what I mean, maybe to learn new ideas, to expand on some of the ideas that they do already. We would get people that are maybe in business, maybe in a garden centre, and they want to expand into the floristry end of it. You get people who just want to get a job at it. So it's mostly training florists, that's what we do. We get a small percentage of people who would come maybe to do it as a hobby, maybe just to learn how to do flower arranging professionally, or maybe a bride's mother might come to learn how to do her daughter's wedding flowers. But our hobby courses are probably more the Christmas courses.
Yes.
The Christmas courses are better for people who want to just do it as a hobby.
Do it as a hobby. Or someone like me who's like, Karen's flower girls. Yeah,
that's right. Yeah.
So this is something that, as I said, I was invited along by the girls, and I'm really delighted because you really get a chance to see what's actually involved and what goes on in the background, because it's more than just creating beautiful creations like this. And you're running a course in June, Jeanette, for florists. Tell us a little bit about that.
So the course itself is divided up into 4 modules. So module 1 would more probably emphasise on flower arranging. So each module is a 4-day course, and the 4 days normally is Monday to Thursday, but sometimes you have the option to do it Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and an odd time you have the option to do a Saturday, Sunday one weekend and a Saturday, Sunday another weekend. So again, you could see some of the guys here today, they chose to do the Sunday course because the Sunday suits them, you know, depending on with their work situation or their shop situation. So module 1 is normally the one that you start with, and we've one starting on the 11th of June, and that's a Monday to Thursday. So on that course, it's an introduction to the floristry business. It tells them like about what's involved, because when people think flower arranging, they're thinking like an arrangement of flowers. Well, we're talking about maybe new babies, anniversaries, Mother's Day, Christmas, get well soon, happy birthday, happy anniversary, I love you, I'm sorry I did something last night, whatever. So it's all occasions. And then you have the wedding flowers, and it's not just the wedding bouquets, it's the hotel, it's the church maybe, the event decoration. And then you have the funeral end of it, so then we have like all the funeral wreaths. And when you think of funeral wreath, like it's not just a round wreath, we have hearts, crosses, pillows, cushions, gates of heaven, sprays, the length of the coffin. So we basically cover everything over the 4 modules. So we kind of class this business as being the matching, the hatching and the dispatching business. So we look after all your needs. So the matching is obviously your weddings, your hatching is all your babies, and your dispatching is all your funerals.
You can tell they're very serious. Very serious.
So module 1, as I said, is the introduction. They learn all about the wholesalers, buying the flowers, you know what I mean? So say like for that little wand where it's just one little rose and a stem of gyp is what you've used. Like the name of that rose is Memory Lane. So it's not just a case of going to the wholesalers and ordering purple roses, because I might call that a lilac rose and you might call that a mauve rose. So to get the exact colour you have to learn the name of it. So again, when you go to buy them in the wholesalers, you can't buy one rose, roses come in 20s. So then it's learning where to buy the roses. So we go through all the wholesalers, and there's different wholesalers, and you have wholesalers who are strictly trade only, and you have wholesalers who do serve people outside the trade. And you have wholesalers that have a minimum amount you have to spend. So maybe you could go to one of the smaller wholesalers and yes, you could buy £10 worth of flowers. But then there's other wholesalers where you might spend a minimum of €100 or €200. And then also what we do at the classes is we teach them about buying in direct from Holland.
Okay.
So if you buy in from Holland, it's much cheaper than buying from an Irish wholesaler because you're basically cutting out the middleman. And when you explain to people first about buying from Holland, they think, oh God, I have to buy hundreds of pounds, euros worth of stuff. It's like kind of buying from Tesco's, you know, that way. So like you log in, you have your login and your password, you click, you know what I mean, you want to buy flowers, and then alphabetically you'll see all your different flowers, roses, carnations and lilies. And then you click in and you get a photograph of the roses. And roses obviously are sold in bunches of 20s. So you might by mistake put in you want to buy 6 roses, but the computer will automatically change it. You must buy 20 roses at X amount comes to such a total. And again, as I said, there's a minimum amount you have to spend. So we cover all that as part of the course, you know, that way. And we would have wholesalers who would come to the school as well, maybe have a little chat with the students, set them up with their accounts, you know, I mean, we'd have all their application forms. We would teach them about the cost prices of the flowers, how to treat the flowers, exactly how you condition with them to make them last. So a lot of that's covered on Module 1.
One of the things I learned today, hi Julie, do you love the headwear, yeah. Now when we meet for lunch during the week, Julie, this is what I'll be wearing, you will see me. So one of the things that you talked about today was the drink that the flowers will have, that when you're making up a kind of an arrangement like this, they're in these little pod things.
Yeah.
And tell us a little bit about that, just as kind of general.
Yeah, that was the orchids this morning.
Yeah.
So the orchids, when they come in from the wholesalers, like you have a long stem of orchids and there's a little vial at the end, or a little test tube basically, it looks like. It's a little tube, and they come in from the suppliers or the growers with these little tubes on the end, and there's a little rubber seal so they don't leak in transport. So they're filled with water, and there's a special orchid food in that water. So when you buy in your orchids, you leave them in them tubes, and that way then they will last, like, you know, I mean, orchids could last definitely 2 weeks, but you could get up to 3 weeks. Wow. Even the little orchids that's in your flower crown there. In about 3 days, 4 days time, they will still be alive. Now the jib will have dried out, and the germini, they'll be dead. But it's amazing orchids how long they last. And everybody looks at orchids and thinks they're a real delicate flower, but they actually are good lasting flowers, and they last for ages. But like most flowers, when you buy them in from the wholesalers, they don't come in water. So unlike the orchids, they just will be lying down flat in a box. So when you buy in flowers, you have to condition them and bring them back to life. And when people talk about getting a fresh flower delivery, so say even this morning, I got a delivery of flowers this morning. They came to my house when we opened the hall door this morning. There's a couple of boxes of flowers outside the house. Now they would have came in last night from Holland, and they were delivered during the night. Could have been 12 o'clock last night or 8 o'clock when I came out of the house this morning. But them flowers were picked yesterday. And that's what people think, fresh flowers, you know what I mean, or they were picked yesterday and they're fresh today. Them flowers could be 5 or 6 days old at this stage, because they were picked earlier on in the week. They went through the auction in Holland, and then they got transported, you know the way, say, they went through the auction, and we went online, we ordered X amount of roses, you know what I mean, they were packed into a box and then they were sent to us. So they got delivered to Ireland, say, last night, and I had them there this morning. So when I open that box, I have to condition them roses, and basically I often say to the students, it's like giving them a kick in the ass and bring them back to life again, because they've been out of water for that length of time. And even when I was explaining to one of the students there earlier, she was saying about buying the roses and using them straight away. I says, them roses have been lying in a box, asleep, with no water for 5 days. And I says, then you come along then and you say, there you go, stand up straight. And of course the poor thing is weak. It's like you lying in the bed for 5 days in the house and you didn't get a drink of water. And I said, now get up out of the bed there, Sandra, and stand up and start dancing around. Obviously you're going to feel weak and you're going to topple over. And that's exactly what happens to the flowers. So we have to do all that. We have to basically bring them back to life. So little things like cutting the end off the flower. When you cut the end off the flower, you'll see it'll go a different colour. So even if you bought flowers in the supermarket and you bring them home, you'll see the end of them is brown. You come along with scissors, cut them on a sharp slant and cut about 1 inch off the end, and you'll see now it kind of goes a lime green colour. So you have cut the crust off, you know, that way. So the minute you cut a flower, it immediately sucks. So it's kind of like putting a baby up to you, it starts to suck, and that's exactly what happens to the flowers. So you're cutting your flowers and you're then placing them in a vase of water. We put flower food into the water, the flower immediately sucks and starts to drink the water. It sucks like mad for an hour without stopping, and it starts to, obviously it sucks for, you know, for the rest of its life. But we would say give them 4 hours drink before you start making your flower crown or making your bouquet or making your arrangement. So when people say give flowers a long drink, that's what they mean, give them 4 hours drink. And if you hadn't got flower food, a spoonful of sugar into the water, it's not as good And being honest, like sugar probably could make bacteria grow, but it's better than just giving your flowers just water. Or even 7-Up, just put some 7-Up into the vase of water that you're giving your flowers, and the sugar in the 7-Up, that'll help your flowers. It makes such a difference.
That 7-Up is just a cure-all for everything, isn't it?
Well, to be honest, you can put vodka in as well, but I'd rather keep the vodka to myself. Haven't tried the gin yet.
Sarah has joined us as well. So, here's what not to do with flowers.
No, drink the vodka, give them the sugar and water. 7-Up for the flowers. But really, often when you buy flowers, you get a little sachet, sellotape to them. And the amount of people who throw that in the bin,
no.
You know what I mean? Cut it off, like it's a special flower food, it's a preservative, so it makes the flowers last longer, it encourages the lilies to open, or the buds to open. You know the way people often buy lilies and they say, God, they never opened. That's because you didn't feed them. That's like having a baby and saying it never grew. Well, if you don't feed it, it's not going to grow. So feed your flowers, it'll help all the buds to open. But also the flower food stops the water going smelly. You ever smell smelly water? Oh, it's rotten it is, like it's like storage it is. And if you put flower food into the water, it stops that. And it also stops all the discolouring. Again, you look at a glass vase and inside it, it's all, disgustingly dirty. You know that way. If you put flower food into the water, it stops all that. So it's well worth doing.
And you know what I'm just thinking, like, I tend to think that flowers, as you say, are these kind of delicate kind of things, but they're actually quite hard when they're looked after.
Amazing how strong they would be. There's a few flowers that would be fairly delicate, but like gerbers, they're a hardly enough flower there to handle, as you see there, sticking the wire up through them. We did the roses again, like there's all wires in them, like again, like there's little silver wires, you can barely see it, there's little silver wire kind of going through the flowers there, because with this little wand,
when you see
the child is going to think she's a princess. That's why they want wands, you know what I mean? And she's going around everybody that day and she's putting spells on them and she's hitting them, you know that way? And you find like the rose is hardly enough, it'll hold up to it, but that's all because of the wire you stuck up through the rose and the little silver wires that you stitch the rose with. Like you don't want her, an hour later crying that there's no rose or no flower, or she's left with just a stick, And again, the stick is kind of flexible, that if she did fall on it, you know what I mean, that it wouldn't cause an injury on the day.
And there's a picture on my page there somewhere, and I was at a wedding in February, and the little one had this kind of a wand. It wasn't this type.
Wasn't as nice as this one.
Wasn't nice as this one, different. And of course the flower fell off it, and somebody had taken a picture of me fixing the wand, And I kind of thought, I like this. I like fixing wands. So when I was invited to come here, I was like a child. I was really like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm going to make a wand. So you can imagine how a child feels.
They all love them. And like you say during the week on this course, like they're going to make like little hoops for the flower girls, which are gorgeous, or the little pomander, which is the little ball of flowers, and the little flower girls basket, and they're all really cute, gorgeous ideas. And to be honest, they're probably nicer than even the wand. But if you put 4 things in front of a child and you say, do you want the little basket, do you want the little commander, do you want the hoop, or do you want the wand? They all pick the wand. All the kids, the magic, and they all want to be the princess, and they're all dressed up in their little dress. But even for communions, if there was a little kid coming to you for communion, like say next week, make up a little wand and give to her. Like they absolutely love it, and you can do it in artificial as well.
They delight. So tell us, to come back to what you do, and you are directing your courses and that towards the people who are in business or looking to get into business. And I know the swear word at the moment is GDPR, but you are going to be covering a lot of the background stuff that has nothing to do with flowers, for a lot of the administration and some of the now legislation with GDPR.
Absolutely, because since the 25th of May, just Friday gone, obviously, like the laws now, and if you don't stick to the law, that way it's obviously there's a threat of a fine out there. And from a flower shop point of view, if say I'm in a flower shop today and a customer rings me and wants to send flowers to their mum, okay? So the client or the customer who rings me, first of all, I'm going to take their name, I'm going to take their address. No, I won't need to take their address, sorry. I'll take their name and I'll take a contact phone number, okay? And I'll take their credit card details. So immediately I've all that personal information about you. Then I'm going to ask you the details of the person who you want to send the flowers to. So you want to send the flowers to your sister. So now I need your sister's name. I need your sister's address, because I obviously have to deliver the flowers to her. I need your sister's contact phone number. maybe it's a country address and I can't find it, so at least I can ring her. Or in the meantime, I can ring you and say, I can't find your sister's house. But probably what I'll do is I'll ring your sister and say, listen, we're going to, or we have a surprise for you, or there's somebody delivering, we have an item to deliver, we might want to give the surprise away. Sure. We have a parcel to deliver to you, will there be somebody in the house between 2 o'clock and 3 o'clock? So again, I have your sister's name, your sister's address, and your sister's phone number. I have your name, I have your phone number, and I have your credit card details. Now that's me in the shop. Now I'm going to give it to the delivery man. So the delivery man needs, besides the credit card details, he needs all this information. So he needs your phone number and your name in case there's a problem. He needs the customer who we're sending the flowers out to. So he needs her name, her phone number and her address. Now what if he just crumples up that piece of paper and throws it in the back of the van, do you know that way? Or again, he has it at home or somebody's working for him. So there's a lot involved. And then even with a wedding, you're taking a wedding order. Again, you have the two partners, you know, two grooms, two brides, bride and groom. You have all their details. You have their name. You might have the address where they're living now. You have the address of their mums. Maybe the bride could be going back to her mum's house. You know that way. You definitely have contact phone numbers for both of them. We definitely have credit card details for deposits and payments. You know that way. So we have a huge amount of information. You know the way. It's not just from an email marketing point of view. It's we do have a lot of information. So on the 10th of June we have the Florist Conference, and we have Philippa, I can't think of her surname, Philippa Farley. So she would be a GDPR expert, and she's going to come in and give a fairly good talk, you know that way, about GDPR, but from a florist point of view. Where we were recently at a conference with Samantha Kelly with the Win Group, and Philippa did an excellent talk, and we learned so much. And then myself and Deirdre was saying, oh my God, wouldn't it be brilliant if Philippa came, but she'd done her talk from a florist point of view, where it's, you know what I mean, because it's completely different. Obviously every business is different, but definitely in the florist business is different. It's like even with accounts. Accounts from a florist point of view is completely different to accounts from somebody that's maybe selling clothes or like in your business, you know that way, it's completely different. Like if we throw out flowers, we can write that off, you know that way, where you can't just throw out your celebrant talk, you know, your speech, you know that way. So there's a huge amount of differences from a florist point of view. So again, we have another accountant from the Win Group with Samantha Kelly's group, Carmel, and she's going to answer all the questions for the florist. Your halo shifting on there.
Oh Jesus! Oh God, I can't be having that.
And Carmel is going to give good talk, and she'll be there to answer any questions then that anybody else has that's relevant to their business.
So would this course be, if somebody is interested in getting into this business, is this a good grounding to see what's
definitely, involved? Anybody that's in the florist business, they'd be mad not to go, to be honest. Or anybody that's maybe thinking of going into their own business eventually. But even people that's working in a flower shop, because your staff needs to know this.
Sure.
So if you own a flower shop, you definitely have to do this course. But you have to also go back and train your staff about this, you know, information as well. So it'd be no harm for staff to be there as well. But there's a huge amount being covered on the day. Okay, GDPR and VAT is definitely important, and it's, you know, it's an important aspect of the day. But we'll also have we'll have somebody talking about Facebook, you know the way, and Facebook ads. Now again, when you're doing Facebook ads from a florist point of view, we'll just say like it's Valentine's Day. It's who are we going to target, okay? I'm going to say men, just kind of like to keep, so I can use it as an option. So maybe the florist is going to target men in their area. Like why would they target men in County Wexford or County Donegal if you live in Dublin? So again, if you're in Dublin and you live in Ranelagh, you're going to pick, like say, target the men in Ranelagh, Rathmines, Rathgar, Terranure. So that's the area that you're going to target. Now, what age group are you going to target? Do you know that way? So again, are you going to target unemployed men or employed men? Are you going to target men that are single or men that's in relationships? Do you know that way? Now, it's going to be exactly the same thing when it comes to weddings. So it's how to target your advertisements on Facebook. So again, we will have somebody there teaching them how to Facebook ads, basic Facebook information, you know the way. Like, we're definitely not going to cover everything about Facebook, it's not possible on the day, but I know there'll be a lot of people attending that will just have have a personal Facebook page, mightn't even have a business Facebook page. So a lot of florists aren't as much into Facebook as we would be, you know what I mean? But like, it's free advertising, and you know what I mean, most of their customers are actually on Facebook, and it's local. And we'll also have somebody teaching them how to blog, you know, that way. Again, with the GDPR, not being able to maybe target, losing a lot of your email addresses or your database information, you have to have another option now. So it's driving traffic to your website. So we have somebody there teaching people how to blog, you know, that way. Because again, people say, how do you blog? You could write a blog now on making a wand.
And I will.
Yeah, and you could write a blog on making a flare crown. Like, there's so much, like you could write blogs on everything. Like even what I just taught you about treatment of flowers, the orchids there, you could write a blog on treatment of flowers, you know that way? So it's a great, like florists, like the amount of material we have there to write blogs on, it's just endless, you know that way. And again with Facebook, it's visual, our Instagram is visual. So what are we dealing with? Just photographs of flowers, everything is colourful, everything is lovely, you know that way. So it's brilliant, but it's just really making use of what's out there, what's free, and free advertising. So there's a huge amount being covered on today. We're obviously going to be doing some floristry as well and flower arranging. So my job on the day will be, I'll be demonstrating the moon gate, which you'll see on our Facebook page. That's one of the latest trends for weddings now, the big circular.
Beautiful.
And the bride and groom can step through it. You know, if you step through the moon gate, you're going to be happily married for the rest of your life. So you want to make sure all your bride and all your new couples now all have a moon gate.
Have a moon gate, okay.
And we're also going to be teaching them how to make like large tropical displays on the day. So, you know, like a little bit bigger than what your normal would be.
Super. So this is a must course for anyone in the industry to refresh on skills or to fill in those gaps that might be in your current marketing, or even just because I know some florists wouldn't have a website. They may have a Facebook page, but they think that just having the Facebook page is enough. And well, it might get you so far, it's not going to get you.
It's not going to be good enough. If you want to send flowers to Donegal, what's the first thing you're going to do? Is you're going to Google flower shop Donegal, florist Donegal, flowers in Donegal. That's what you're going to Google. Do you know that way? If you were sending them to Ballybuffet, you're going to Google florist in Ballybuffet. Facebook's not going to pick that up. You know that way. So it's Google is going to pick that up.
Exactly.
And again, there'll be a little bit of SEO talked at the conference as well. A little bit of everything. You know the way. It's more really giving, I suppose, people a taste and then making them realise you really need to go and learn a lot more about GDPR. Philip is there. You need to learn a lot more about your accounts. Carmel is there. You need to learn a lot more about Facebook. So-and-so is there. You know the way. So that's the aim of the day.
So people want to find out more about that particular course. Where will they find the information?
So if they go to the website, so our website address is flowerschoolireland.com. So it's really easy. And our email address is info@flowerschoolireland.com. So if they either email us here at the school or go onto the website, when you go to the website, if you click the button conference, it gives you all the information about the conference. But one other thing about the conference, have you ever heard of skill nets or knots? Okay, so skill nets or knots, it's a funding group in Ireland, and they fund or pay a grant towards people who want to do a course. And the whole idea is to bring people of the same network together. So that's why it's called skill nets. Okay, so we come under some of the skill net funding, and for the conference they're actually sponsoring it, and they're going to pay 25% of the ticket.
Brilliant.
So to be eligible, living in Ireland, you know that way, and working, so it's mostly florists, you know what I mean? But like, you don't have to be working in a flower shop. You could be working as a hairdresser or working as a wedding celebrant. So just for people that are working and living in Ireland, automatically you're entitled to a 25% grant, which is worth €35. You know that way. So the ticket for the conference on the day is €150, and the grant will be 35. So that brings it back down to 115. So we run an online school as well on our website. And we have an online video of the moon gate, you know that way, because obviously on the day it's not going to be possible time-wise to do the moon gate from start to finish. So we will have one completed on the day, we will have an empty one on the day, and we'll kind of like start one on the day, right? So then every attendee will get a free link, which is worth €100. Right? So they're getting the grant off, but they're getting €100 online training video. There's lunch provided, and tea and coffee and biscuits, and the cupcake bloke, I'm not sure if you know, the cupcake bloke is opening up in Rialto, about 2 doors up from us. And he's doing all the cupcakes as well, so we're hoping to get them all logoed. So you have to, if you haven't tried the cupcake bloke for his cupcakes, definitely come to the Hilton Hotel on the 10th of June to the conference and you try it.
Cupcake bloke, if you're watching this, contact me please.
Grain.
Now for a conversation, of course, but do bring samples of your cupcakes. So this is fantastic. This is absolutely amazing stuff. And I want to just say about these girls here in Case Flowers, they have the most work day in your life. Go and check these ladies out. They're absolutely amazing. My hair is too. I put oily, glossy stuff in my hair to make it shine, and then my crown is sliding.
Our halo is
vanity is making my beautiful halo slide. But listen, I really appreciate you letting me come. Do this and meet you and spend more time with you.
Absolutely,
you ladies, you absolutely crack me up. Go and check the ladies out. And this is Sandra Losty, the wedding lady. We'll see you on the far side.
Thanks a million.